What's up, San Antonio? What's going on, South Texas? This is the Area 210 podcast. My name is Mike Jimenez. That is Joe Garcia. You see a third face there on the screen. That is Matt Lerma joining us right now. Live from the Alamo Dome, where the all eyes of the sporting world will be on San Antonio tonight as the city of San Antonio hosts the NCAA men's basketball championship game, which is going to involve the Houston Cougars and the Auburn Tigers. Joe, how you doing today, my man?
I'm doing good, man. Good to see you back here and joining us here on the Area 210 podcast. And we are broadcasting to you live from beautiful West over here by Marbach.
There you go. There you go. Well, we have Matt Lerma on the screen with us. And this morning I was like, hey, we got to bring Matt on, man. Yeah. I am proud of Matt for covering the NCAA Final Four. Fantastic. We've seen all his reports all over social media from when he's been out there at the Alamo Dome. He was there for the Final Four. Matt, how is your first Final Four treating you, my man?
It's been great, brother. It's been really nice. Everybody has been just really good. A lot of national media people love San Antonio, so I just keep hearing about how awesome San Antonio is and how more events should be here. So it's been really cool.
Very cool, man. You know, I have covered Final Fours before and Sweet 16s as well. The most recently when Villanova cut down the nets there in San Antonio a couple of years ago. But you're right, Matt. I mean, it's funny because for all the things that we all say about San Antonio, both positive and negative, this is the type of event that San Antonio excels at because the Final Four is a family-oriented type of thing. You know, you have a lot of adults out there. It's not a bunch of 20-year-olds who are buying tickets. It's a bunch of adults out there. San Antonio is a perfect venue for this. And now that we see Project Marvel seems to be taking hold and progressing down the way, we'll probably get into the Final Four at some point. But it's been exciting out there. What have you seen out there? What's been the biggest thing that your biggest takeaway?
Oh, well, so one of the coolest things, I just wrote an article about it. I posted it yesterday, so check it out on my X, on my Twitter. That's my handle. But basically, I was in the locker rooms pre-game for the Houston Duke game, and I could just tell that Houston was going to win. And then, I just thought, I was like, man, maybe, I'm not good at, reading situations during the whole game. But then Houston came back and won because they were just more relaxed, they were playing 2K. They were just acting like it was a normal everyday thing. And then, when I went to the Duke locker room, you could tell that they were more focused on Monday night instead of Saturday, so it was just one of those things, man. The vibes were way better in the Houston locker room. And, three of us from Spurfict were there, and we all collectively agreed that Houston was going to win, and we turned out to be right.
Well, Houston had a lot of luck, man, down the stretch. I mean, you saw a Duke up by double digits late in the game, up by 6 with a minute to go in the game. At that point, Matt, the odds of a team losing a 6-point lead in the final minute is 1 in 10, if that, right? Duke had a 95% chance of winning that game down the stretch. Missed some critical free throws, got some turnovers. Houston's defense clamped down. That's what they're known for. They're known for having erratic offense, but defensively they can clamp down, and that's what they did. They got the steal that they needed. They got the 3 that they needed. They got the putback that they needed. Every single bounce that was needed, they got. And then they got that really controversial call on Cooper Flagg on that free throw attempt. Was it a foul? Yes. Should it have been called? I don't know. So what are your thoughts on that, Matt?
Well, I was actually right there when it happened. I was as close to the court as someone who doesn't have a TV camera could be.
Yeah.
And, it was a foul. You could say that maybe they should have let it go, but it was a foul. I've seen it. I seen it with my eyes.
Yeah.
But I'm happy it went out. No disrespect to the Duke guys or whatever, but the Houston guys, they just seem really together, like they're brothers. Honestly, this Houston team, I think a movie could be written about them. That's just how cool and together they seemed.
Well, it's because they're not a blue blood like Duke. It's one of those things where
Yeah.
Duke is expected to win. Houston, though they've had a very good team, very good program for the past 3, 4, 5 years, even though they're the 1 seed and were preseason number 1, was still not expected to do anything. Now, here's the thing about that foul against Cooper Flag there. You don't want to see a game decided at the free throw line, which is what they did. They called the foul, and then they went 90 feet the other way to allow Houston to do the go-ahead free throws. Now, here's the thing. You can also say that, well, Duke missed some free throws in the final minute. Houston nailed their free throws in the final minute. In fact, the guy that made the game-winning free throws, after he made the first one, or even before he made the first one, he told everyone to back off. He was like, I got this. Yeah, that was a very, very, very cool moment where the gesture he was making to his team, both on the in the blocks and also to the coaching staff, was, don't worry about me missing this. It's not going to happen. I got it. The hand gesture he made of everyone calm down. Instead of them telling him to calm down and take your time, he was like, no, I got this. That was a very cool thing. But here's the thing.
It was a very cool thing.
Here's the thing about
Go ahead.
that Cooper Flag foul. My problem with it is not that it was called. It was the person who called it. I am somebody who has officiated games, and I do it at a high school varsity level, but it's the same mechanics as college basketball, and it's the same eyelids, right? It's the same line of sight. The person who called that foul, as quickly as they called it, should not have been the one who called it, because he called it on Cooper Flag from behind. That is the official who is the C official's job to make that call, not the trail official's job. So when I saw that happen, I thought to myself, was it a foul? Yeah, but why is he looking over there? It's because he apparently this has happened earlier in the game, and he was tired of it, and he pulled the trigger on that. Was it a foul? Yes, but that was not his to make that quickly. Now, if it was a delayed call, if it had happened and a second had passed, he called it instantaneously, which means he was not looking at his man. He was looking at other players on the court, which kind of freaked me out. I saw that from an official's perspective, but I don't want to see games end that way. Was it a foul, Matt? Of course it was. He went over 2 players. It was an over the back. But superstars get superstar treatment, and Cooper Flag did not get that treatment.
Yeah, it was funny when those free throws were made to tie and go ahead by 1. I was standing like right next to the Houston student section, and they were going insane. Like when I tell you they were losing their minds, they were losing their minds. I saw people crying. I saw people just like so happy. So it was a really cool. I just happened to be lucky enough to be in a really cool spot when that happened.
Now, do you feel, based on your opinion out there of what you've seen so far today, again, we're going to have a 7:50 tip-off between the Auburn Tigers and the Houston Cougars to see who's going to be the national champion in men's basketball. Houston being so short of a distance away, right? I mean, Auburn is in Alabama. Would you say that this is a home game for the Houston Cougars? Because just based on the number of people that you see out there wearing red as opposed to wearing blue and orange.
No, yeah, it's definitely going to be a home game atmosphere. It was already a home game atmosphere versus Duke. The Duke fans are loud, but the Houston fans are louder. And everyone I've met that's so far, that if you're from Texas, you're rooting for Houston. So I haven't seen. I mean, I've seen a lot of Florida people, obviously, but yeah, there's a lot of red. A lot of red out here today. More red than blue, I'll definitely say that.
I have some friends who are out there, from Houston, who are big Houston fans, or they're big fans of the Cougars program. They're from the Houston area. I'm taking a look right now on StubHub. If you want to get into the Alamo Dome today, cheap seats, what's called a 10 out of 10 amazing deal, is going to be $221. That's to be in the cheap seats behind the basket. If you want to get down low, you're looking at over $1,000, $700 or so to be at the Final Four. Was the setup different than the game that the Spurs had against the Golden State Warriors? Remember when we packed the Dome about a year and a half ago? Was it different, or did it seem the same?
Well, I don't know if it's exactly the same because I wasn't there, but but the stage is raised, so like the court is raised and like the press is down below. So like if someone were to really fall off the court, they would have like a little 3 foot drop. So hopefully that doesn't happen.
Now we have Auburn.
But I don't know if it was like that for the Spurs.
I keep on saying Auburn. It's Florida that is
Florida.
playing out there today. So Florida, that's the orange and blue that I was thinking of. Auburn blew that game against Florida. Now here's the thing: the game tonight, Cougars are underdogs tonight's game. If you had to pick a winner tonight, who you got? We're rolling with Houston, aren't we?
Yeah. Well, like the Florida guys, they're good. They're nice, but I just like I said, man, what when we were in the Houston locker room, there was just a vibe. Even yesterday after the practice, I was there in the locker room and they were just hanging out, having a good time. And like I said, if they win, it'll be like something that a movie will be made about in 10 years. So
why do you say that? Why do you say that?
Just because, like, if you were here in the building, nobody expected them to win. Like, even people from Houston were just like, yeah, we're happy we got here. But, everyone thought Duke was going to win. And, Houston, I asked them specifically, I asked a few players about what's it feel like to be an underdog. And they all dismissed that notion. They were like, we're number one seed. We did what we need to do to be here, and we're here to get the job done. But they weren't mad. They were speaking as just a matter of fact. They were just like, no, like we're good. We don't need any extra hype because it's Duke. We're just gonna be us,
Right.
And
now they're taking on Florida. Florida beat Auburn 79-73. Was watching that game. Auburn was up pretty much 3/4 of the game. And then Florida kind of just came back and just put it down in the second half to win 79-73. Florida coming in as a popular favorite to win. I mean, there was a lot of people who were on that Florida bandwagon. Florida favored by 1.5 tonight, even though Houston is playing in San Antonio. Bit of a home game. But, man, I'm proud of you, man. You're out there representing San Antonio podcasting and all that at the Final Four. What did you what's the experience you take out of this, man? Going back and in your career now and what you're trying to build, what do you take out of your memories there at the Dome for the Final Four?
just keep going. Like I started writing articles about the Spurs when I was dead broke, and I was offered a little bit of money to write an article about the Spurs. Mm-hmm. And if you would have told me there that day that I'd be covering the Final Four, I would have been like, you're crazy. Shout out to Carolina Teague and Spurfict. Carolina Teague is I would say she's 95% of the reason I'm here today. So I got to shout her out and say thank you. But yeah, so just keep grinding out there, guys. You have any aspirations of doing something like this, the best thing I could do is say just start. Like, no one's gonna read your first 100 articles. That's fine. Just publish them and keep going.
Yeah, I'm proud of you too, Matt. I mean, you started with long ago with Project Spurs, came out, started writing articles there even before then, and then just kept on at it. Kept on doing your thing, doing your Spurs spaces after games and whatnot, and now you're writing for Carolina Teague over there with this Spurific blog. So you're just doing good things, So you just seen the natural progression of you just continuing to do what you love. So it's no, let's say, mistake that you're here. You deserve to be here. I'm happy for you. Keep on doing it. Chasing your dreams. Good things will happen.
Very nice. That is Matt Lerma at the Alamo Dome again tonight, 7:50. Florida Gators, Houston Cougars for the national championship. Matt, great job out there, man. And as he mentioned, CT doing a fantastic job. Rudy J, Mike Taylor, all doing an amazing job out there representing San Antonio media. Because you know what? It's the fan perspective, which is what we bring, which is fantastic. Matt, enjoy yourself tonight. Hopefully we'll hear from you tomorrow.
All right. Bye, guys.
See ya. Joe, I found that to be interesting, man. Like I said, I have done a Sweet 16 before, and it's a great atmosphere when you have all the
Yeah.
different fans out there from all the different schools. Florida going out there, coming from behind and beating Auburn. Auburn was the number one overall seed. Had a little bit of a brain fart earlier on because in my mind, Auburn should have won that game. Auburn was winning the whole game. And I was just thinking about Auburn the entire time, but it was Florida that pulled that game out at the end. Really, the game I focused the most on this weekend, though, was that Duke matchup against Houston. Joe, bad taste in my mouth with how it ended, man. I'm glad that Houston won. Don't get me wrong. I would have enjoyed Duke being in the finals because you have three players that are going to be drafted in the top 10 on that Duke squad. We get to look at them again. Duke, a blue blood. Houston going in there, though, and not giving up, man. And there's something about a team down 10 points with 5 minutes to go, down 10 points with 3 minutes to go, down 6 with a minute to go in the game, having free throws and then losing it.
No.
That was a brutal, brutal game to watch down the stretch. And for Duke to just simply wet the bed. They couldn't get an inbounds pass in. Houston clamped down the defense, knocked down a clutch three. A missed 3-point attempt, which was followed up with a dunk, which was amazing. And it was just one of those things where you look at a 6-point game turn into a 3-point game, down to a 1-point game. And then all of a sudden you're fouled going to the free throw line. And as Mike Taylor likes to say from in the building, at that point, the cheeks pucker, right? Yeah. You get nervous. The whole country's watching this, right? You go to the free throw line, you miss it. Houston gets fouled. Again, kind of a shady foul, dude. It was a foul. And we had somebody on earlier, I think it was Sam Salinas on our chat, which is powered by MCS General Contracting, say, who cares who called it? There is a way of calling a foul, dude. The primary calls first. And when the secondary official's calling first, it's a bad look, dude. It's a reason to get pissed. And you might look at it as a fan and say, well, who cares? They got it right. They did get it right.
Yeah, Duke.
But from the coach's perspective, the coach goes, that is not yours to call. That is this MFer's job to call, not yours. Why are you looking in the wrong direction? It's because he wanted to call it.
No, Duke choked at the end of the day. I mean,
Duke choked.
You had University of Houston. University of Houston has played great defense throughout the tourney. So you have a highly rated defense versus offense. At the end of the day, Houston just didn't stop. They just kept on picking away, and they didn't even lead in this whole game until the very end. And that's when it really mattered. At the end of the day, Duke lost in front of Coach K, who was in attendance there watching this debacle. This choke job by the Duke, and the only thing is like the players, they were even saying like Cooper Flagg, he looked gassed. They would have saved him a little bit more, rested him sooner. Maybe when they were up by double digits at that point in time, could have saved him a little bit, brought him back in at the end of the game. Maybe it would have been a different story, but that was not to be. They just kept him in there, and he was just dead tired at the end of the game. He had nothing left, and Houston took advantage of it. They won the game at the stripe. Credit to Houston. They played defense when it mattered the most, and they're moving on. I think the Houston Cougars are going to do enough here to go ahead and best Florida. So I'm picking Houston to go ahead and win the whole damn thing.
I mean, Houston has everything going for them in the sense that it is being played in Texas. If they have bandwagon fans or fans who have money that could go out there on a Monday afternoon to go watch this game again, first tip is at the tip is at 7:50. Then you go out there and do it, and it's just one of those things where it's set up for Houston. I would probably say that Florida might be the better team, but Houston has the most experience. And we're seeing that. They didn't give up, man. That was a game that they should have lost. Like if Duke has a 10-point lead with a few minutes to go in the game, 9 times out of 10 they win that game going away. And Houston just stayed there just hanging around. It's kind of like that scene from the movie Rounders, Teddy KGB saying you're just hanging around. And if you let a team hang around, bad things might happen. What Duke didn't do, Duke didn't put their foot at the back to the back of the neck of that team, and they let them hang around, stay within 2 or 3 possessions, and then boom, 3-pointer, boom, dunk, miss free throw, and then all of a sudden You see Houston at the line for the game-winning free throws, and that player to go up there with calm and collected and telling everybody to stand back. Like, don't worry about it. I got this.
Yeah.
Was so cool to watch, man.
Yeah, and pour some out for Duke, the Duke Blue Devils here,
Tim
because
Gonzalez, yeah.
big Duke fan, man, and I know he's hurting this morning, but nonetheless, he was there. He got to go ahead and see his Duke Blue Devils warm up on Friday as they had the free kind of like guess the practice, open practice for everybody to come in and watch teams warm up and whatnot. He's a big Duke fan. He was there. He was able to see it, so he got to see the Duke Blue Devils come to San Antonio and got to experience that. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy who's always a fan of the Devils, no matter what. He's always singing their praises here on the show. So it was a good weekend for him, man. It was a good weekend, I think, for San Antonio overall, showcasing what the city has to offer as far as the hospitality. You saw Shaq making the rounds all over the city as well. They had the Alamo front and center. They were broadcasting, I think, a whole day in front of the Alamo. So that was great exposure for the city. And overall, the consensus is the people who came to visit were really pleased with not only the music festival, not only the Final Four, but being able just to go and explore the city, had a great time, enjoyed our hospitality. It beckons to the case. Is San Antonio going to be able to host another Final Four here in the near future? Not with the way that the Alamo Dome is currently constructed, but if they go ahead and pass Project Marvel and that gets done and it gets built, maybe the Final Four will come a calling again.
Yeah, most definitely. And I saw the college game day type of show that they have on ESPN was in front of the Alamo, and they had they had all the cameras there and the stage and whatnot. Carmelo Anthony was in attendance there. As you mentioned, Shaquille O'Neal making his way to Cole High School, his alma mater.
Yeah, he made an appearance over here too around town. Yeah, showed up to some bar or something like that where they had an outdoor venue, outdoor music and whatnot. Said hi to the fans, took pictures and all that. Just a very nice guy.
You're right. Tony Ornelas reached out to us on our YouTube stream. Our chat powered by MCS General Contracting, saying, I'm so surprised a poor city had the Final Four again in San Antonio. This was what, the fourth Final Four or fifth Final Four that we've had? If you count the women's, we've had like 6 Final Fours here in San Antonio. Like I may give praise to San Antonio in some respects and criticism in others, but the Final Four is built for San Antonio. It is a perfect marriage of location, weather, and also just hospitality when it comes to this type of an event. You're not going to get this type of thing going on in New York or Miami or LA. It's a better vibe when you go to a San Antonio for this type of an event. If you go to even a Dallas or Houston, Texas in general is a very good spot for Final Fours. I've been to the one in Dallas before. That was amazing. It's a different vibe. Phoenix could have pulled it off. Denver could have pulled it off. There are certain cities that do a very good job of a Final Four type of thing. But the big major cities, Chicago, New York, LA, Miami, San Francisco, even a small market like New Orleans have a hard time because of just the logistics of the number of people that are going. This isn't a regular basketball game where you have 17,000 fans show up. This is where you have 65,000 people in attendance.
Yeah.
They're all from out of town for the most part. They all need to have a convention space. They all need to have hotel space and all of that going on. San Antonio does an amazing job when it comes to it all. And if Project Marvel comes to fruition, it's going to be even better. It's going to be more likely to have it. Will probably happen if Project Marvel does take hold in the next 10 years. What? NBA All-Star Game? That's got to be part of the mix, right? That has to be part of the negotiations going on with the NBA, with this Project Marvel is if we build this as a city, as a county, it better be the NBA All-Star weekend better be there.
If they build it, the NBA All-Star game or even the Final Four, it'll come.
What was it, 96 when it was last there?
Yeah, man. That it was a long time ago, and it was the only time that San Antonio hosted an NBA All-Star weekend. And I remember there were a lot of players walking all around downtown San Antonio. If you were just walking around, taking in the festivities and whatnot, it was a really cool time. It was a big deal for the city of San Antonio. And that was when former Spur, or at the time he was a Clipper, Brent Berry, won the slam dunk contest wearing his warm-up jersey, and they also had the iconic jalapeno logo and whatnot that everybody still enjoys. I'd like to see the NBA All-Star festivities return back to San Antonio at some juncture, but hopefully with Project Marvel, that'll be a thing. But I wanted to show this as we were talking about, the tourney that Final Four that came to the city of San Antonio. At the end of the game, the Houston game, guess who was denied
I
going
saw
into
that.
the festivities? None other
Yeah.
than Houston Rocket great here, Hakeem Olajuwon. They told him, "No, sir, you're not going to go ahead and get on the court." They told him, "Get on out of here."
I mean, it's Hakeem Olajuwon. He's 7'1". How do you not know that guy's not a legend for the Houston Cougars? He was part of Fly Slamma Jamma with Clyde Drexler back in the early 80s, right? Hakeem Olajuwon, part of the 1984 draft. He was the number 1 overall pick in that draft. Michael Jordan, number 3 in that particular draft. You look at it, it's embarrassing. But here's the thing. How do the Houston Cougars not give him the credentials to make it so?
Come on.
I'm sure he's being denied because he doesn't have certain credentials. Why doesn't he have those credentials?
Does he need any, though? I mean, look, you know who he is. Like, come on, man.
Well, come on, man. You can't have it be like Mark Wahlberg and the other guys, where Derek Jeter comes in and he gets shot in the tunnel. You shot Derek Jeter. Yeah. But you know what? Here's the thing. Maybe, just maybe, this goes back in time to the mid-'90s. Maybe this is the middle finger that we've been holding back on Hakeem Olajuwon for dream shaking David Robinson back in the day, just annihilating us in the Western Conference Finals.
He got the Dikembe no denial.
No.
Yeah, he looked so surprised there, just like, what do you mean you're not gonna let me on the court?
Yeah. That's kind of funny, man.
Hey, they said that the music festival was pretty lit too. I know that my little niece went over there with her father and her sister too. She's small. She's like maybe 4 years old, something like that. She went to go see that one band. Was it Boone or something like that? I forgot the name.
Oh, Benson Boone.
Benson Boone. She's big into Benson Boone. She's
I
always
can't stand
that.
him.
She's always singing his songs in the car and whatnot. She's really cute. So shout out to my little niece Athena out there. She went to go see the music festival for a bit, but everybody else says that they enjoyed Pitbull and all that. And the thing was, when the music festival was getting started, I was on my way to Rockport, and as I'm leaving San Antonio, there's dark clouds on the horizon there. Now I start getting further and further away from the city.
Yeah.
And the clouds start coming in. And I wasn't out of the city limits yet, but you could already see rain coming and dark clouds forming. And I was like, man, this is going straight over to the music festival. And once I got past that, it was clear sailing, dude. There was no bad weather all the way from here all the way to Rockport. But I heard that the clouds did come over here. It rained pretty good here for a bit. And it actually delayed Doshi from coming out and singing for about an hour. Yeah. So she was delayed for about an hour because of the rain and whatnot. And the funny thing is, I saw a video on social media, and they were telling the patrons that were there, right? Oh, seek cover immediately. There's bad weather coming in. I'm like, where are they supposed to go, man? I don't know if they let them bring umbrellas. I don't think they were allowed umbrellas at all. But I mean, they didn't have no ponchos or nothing. You probably just got rained on. You got soaking wet, dude, out there.
That happened years ago. I'd say about 12 years ago. I went to the Final Four in Dallas, and it was pouring rain at those concerts. So they had Tim McGraw as the afternoon performer, and then the final performer was going to be the Killers. And between the Tim McGraw show and the Killers, it probably rained 3 or 4 inches, man. It was a monsoon for a good 2 hours over there. And by the time the Killers went out there was maybe 500 to 1,000 people still there. I mean, before that, there was probably 30,000 people there, which was amazing. But yeah, San Antonio does a good job of hosting these types of events. It doesn't seem like anything major happened crime-wise out there. Yeah. San Antonio does a good job when it comes to these conventions and these festivals and things like that, man. So proud of the city for doing that.
Yeah.
Joe, you want to give some love to Jeff Garcia from Locked On Spurs and Ken's 5, giving us a daily coverage of the Spurs?
Locked On Spurs is your daily Spurs podcast, hosted by Jeff Garcia, the lead Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Jeff has a healthy plethora of guests all the time on the Locked On Spurs podcast. You can also follow Jeff on threads at Jeff G Ken's 5 SA. You can also follow Jeff on Twitter at Jeff G Spurs Zone. So make sure you go ahead and give Jeff a follow not only on threads and Twitter, but also on YouTube at youtube.com/at Locked On Spurs. This is where you're going to be able to find the replay of the Locked On Spurs podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share.
Okay, he's at Jeff G Spurs Zone on Twitter and Threads. He also has more than 7,000 subscribers on YouTube. I subscribe on Spotify. I subscribe on YouTube as well. You should too. Again, Jeff Garcia with your daily content. If you go to his screen there,
yeah, I got it
Twitter
pulled up right now. There's a story.
Yeah, the David Robinson story, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so apparently David Robinson was at an event over the weekend. He was all over the Final Four. And an autograph seeker asked for an autograph, and David Robinson apparently had other responsibilities going on and politely declined. And there's video of this guy getting pissed off.
I'm going to show the video here.
And tossing his David Robinson jersey to the ground. Are you serious?
To
do that in front of the legend 5-0?
In front of the great
You gotta be kidding me. Let's check this out.
There he
politely, and he
no,
says,
thank
"Oh,
you.
no, oh no, no!" And then he waved him off.
Waved him off. He's like, "Just keep going, dude." You know what? Maybe it wasn't the best time to ask him for an autograph when he's busy. Trying to say hi to all these people, and he's working. I mean, you could have met him at another venue or something and get his autograph, but
the guy's got to be like 40 years old that he's doing that, man. Come on, man.
And then just there, he's going to be like, "No, I met that guy. He was an ass." I'm like, come on. That's a great David Robinson. Does a lot of great things for the city, man. He's a class act. Don't do David.
I saw somebody post on Twitter. It's one of our followers or subscribers. I forgot which one it was. But it said, "Hey, if you see a Spur out and about during Final Four, just leave him alone. Leave him alone." What? And when was the last time you asked a grown ass man for an autograph? And with all due respect, by the way, to Spurnandez, who does get a lot of autographs out there, right? And I think Angel does as well. All due respect to them. When was the last time you asked a grown ass man for an autograph?
The only time that I think it wasn't me. It was my son. We saw Stone Cold Steve Austin one time when he was at a San Antonio Missions game, baseball game. I got there. I was there with my family and whatnot. My son was small at the time. He's probably like 8 years old, 9 years old.
Yeah.
And he's big into wrestling because we were watching wrestling all the time. And, WWE at the time was in town. And he turns around and he looks, and they had this little area where they would sit you down. It was like a little cabana area almost, where they had a little beach. They had sand there, umbrella and everything. They would come and give you service, as far as bringing you beer and whatnot.
Right.
And he was there. He got there with his entourage. It was him, his lady, and one of his buddies. And my son turns around. He's like, "Hey, Dad, that looks like Stone Cold Steve Austin." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, it is Stone Cold Steve Austin." I didn't have nothing for him to get an autograph with. I think I had like $1 on me. So I think I gave him the $1. And from what I remember, he went over there and he asked him for an autograph. And he's like, "Sure, kid," or whatever. And he signs the $1, sends him on his way. And then soon after that, everybody just bombarded the guy. And I felt bad for him, man, because he just wanted to enjoy the game. And that was it. But it wasn't me necessarily asking. I haven't asked anybody when I'm out in public, "Hey, can I have your autograph?" I've seen Tim Duncan. I've seen David Robinson. I've seen some of the Spurs players out in the wild. And I usually just leave them the hell alone, man. Like, they're busy at HEB or they're at the Whitty Museum. Because I remember Tim Duncan was there with his family at the Whitty Museum one time when my kid had their field trip. And right as we were starting to get in there, they're like, "Hey, we just want to let you all know that Tim Duncan and his family are here. And, if you see him, just kind of leave him alone. Don't ask him for autographs and whatnot." And I was inside the Whitty Museum with my kids and all that. And we're watching, the Whitty Museum, whatever they had there. I just happened to come up to, I think it was a dinosaur exhibit or something. And Tim Duncan pulls up beside me. And he just looks at me. I just look at him. I'm like, "Hey," and I just kind of left him alone. Just minded my own business with the kids. But I didn't. I mean, I'm not going to ask him for an autograph right there. He's with his family.
I think the last autograph I got but it was at an autograph session, so that was Ricky
Mhm.
Williams, right? But the last time I got an autograph from a player might have been David Robinson many, many years ago. And it's one of those things where I would much rather have a photograph. I'd much rather have a selfie, right? So like those events that I went to at Radio Row back in the day, I was going through some of the photos there, Byron Scott, Eric Dickerson, Urlacher and Stu Gotts and all those guys from radio and all that stuff. Could have asked for an autograph, but I would much rather have gotten, Chad Ochocinco's photo, so the selfie that I have with him means more to me than a scribble on a sheet of paper. But back in the day, that was a thing. The only time I was actually ever tempted to get an autograph, you know what? Last autograph I got was Warren Moon.
Tall tale. Here we go.
Warren Moon. No, I got to interview Nolan Ryan. And I got to ask him a couple of questions, and I could have gotten a baseball and had him sign it, but I didn't do it. I didn't even get a photo with him. I just asked him questions, and that was the only time I've ever been intimidated interviewing somebody, because that's Nolan freaking Ryan. He was over at the Wolf, and that's when the ownership group was named, where David Robinson, Monty Ginobili, Nolan Ryan, and fellas were all added to the ownership group of the San Antonio Missions. I got scared. I got nervous interviewing him.
Hooper Flash says, the one time I asked a Spurs player for their autograph was Danny Green and Corey Joseph at Jim's. They ended up inviting me to join them for dinner. Saw Danny again at the same location, post 14 run. Cool, man.
Yeah. No, the only Spurs I've ever seen out in the wild. That's a great question, man, because you use that phrase, out in the wild. Yeah. I saw the whole team one time at a what's it called? Freebird burritos.
Freebird's World Burrito.
Yeah, I saw the whole team there one time. Like the entire 12-man roster was there at Hebner Oaks one time. That was years ago. I've seen David Robinson out at the movies. I've seen Monty Ginobili playing tennis.
What about the time they joined you, and they asked you to go ahead and play, with them basketball,
racquetball and fitness back in the late 90s. Antonio Daniels, Tim Duncan, and all those guys came in and they wanted to roll fives, and I was too afraid to, man. So I didn't do it. The tall tale, Joe, would have been, I jumped onto the court and I scored 8 points. That's the tall tale. Me saying that I was too much of a wuss to even be on the basketball court with them shows that there's truth to all of this. $5 super chat coming in. Drew Show coming in from the Woodlands. Said, I can't wait for the Spurs using the end, fought 4 games. Fire this head coach, trade Devin to the highest bidder. Ta-ta. Okay, so Drew, let's talk about the Spurs right now, right?
Oh, do we have to?
Spurs came close, but no cigar to the Cavs, right?
Yeah.
Got it, they had the shot, didn't go in, right? So now you think about the Spurs right now. They're solidifying that top 8 spot, right? Because Portland's been winning games, 6 games left or so in the season. They're not going to lose that 8 spot. Worst case scenario, they're going to go into the draft with the 8th best odds to win the lottery. That right there gets you a 26% chance of being in the top 4, a 6% chance of being number 1 overall, which gets you Cooper Flag. Go beyond that. Atlanta's losing games. Orlando's winning games. Atlanta's starting to slide, right? Right now, they're the 8th seed in the West, in the Eastern Conference right now. And if they slide to the 9th spot, they would have to win multiple road games to get into the playoffs. So that being said, you could say that the Spurs are maybe 1 game away, because if Chicago keeps winning, 1 game away from having a second lottery pick, which would make it, instead of a 26% chance, a 34% chance of getting into the top 4.
And with the Spurs losing yesterday against the Portland Trailblazers by a final score of 120-109, they are officially eliminated from playoff contention, meaning they have no mathematical, let's say, insight here or insight to get into the play-in.
Drew Show coming in with another $5 super chat tip. Thank you so much. Says, have Pop resign or get shown the door along with Mitch. Hire real coach Taylor Jenkins. Becky, 10-year nightmare to be over. So that was an article today in the San Antonio Express News about the whole dilemma involving Coach Popovich. If the Spurs are actually entertaining the idea of bringing Pop back or making it his choice, that means that the search for a coach can't happen, which means one of two things. Either Pop is coming back or it makes Mitch Johnson the head coach next year. Because what you can't do is wait till July. It's the June draft. So you have the lottery. The ping pong balls are going to get going in a few weeks, right? NBA draft lottery. That's going to get going, which leads into the combine, which leads into the June draft. You need to have a coach in place for that. And if you were to tell me, Drew, that Taylor Jenkins is that guy after 5 years there at Memphis, 3 seed, he was a game away from the 3 seed, and they let go of him. If you're telling me that Taylor Jenkins is the guy, I would not be mad. He's young enough, he's accomplished enough to be head coach. I would not be mad.
Let me
ask. That being said, Pop has this team with his hands tied behind their back.
Let me ask you a
Show
question.
him the door.
So how many losing seasons is this now under Coach Pop?
6.
6 losing seasons in a row without the Spurs sniffing a play-in, right? They haven't gone to the playoffs and whatnot. They had to play in at the bubble that one time, and they lost to the Pelicans. Pelicans just outright showed them they had no business being there. But the Spurs really haven't done anything in merit over the last 6 seasons. But, Coach Pop is still the head coach for all intents and purposes until the Spurs say otherwise. They're probably going to go ahead and leave it up to him if he wants to come back for one more season. It wouldn't surprise me if Coach Pop comes back and takes the reins and leads this team again for one more season. I mean,
dude, he's physically unable to do so.
Wouldn't surprise me, though.
Popovich is 76 years old, coming off a stroke where he couldn't walk for 2 or 3 months. And you're telling me he's going to do an 82-game season. He's going to travel 41 road games, not including the games that are going to be in Paris, not including the games that are going to be preseason and potentially playoffs. You're telling me a 77-year-old man come January, coming off a stroke, is going to be able to do that? You're out of your mind.
Tomorrow, we're going to go ahead and run a poll. And we'll leave it up to the viewers, the listeners here, to decide what they want to do. Do they go ahead and see the return of Coach Pop, or should the Spurs move on and look for a new coach?
Mm-hmm.
What do the listeners think? We'll put that poll up.
Tavares is saying the Spurs are not playing in Paris next season. Maybe not for a regular season game, but a preseason game, I wouldn't doubt that being part of the mix, because that's part of the whole Wemby experience that we have there. Take a look at the NBA standings right now. Spurs right now sitting at 32-46. Because Portland has won its 35th game, that basically solidifies the Spurs there at the 8th spot going into the lottery. But you go to the Eastern Conference, this is where it gets exciting for the Spurs, right? Because the Spurs have the unprotected first-round pick of the Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah.
The Hawks have won 5 of the last 10 games. They're basically playing 500 ball. They had lost 3 in a row.
They're in the tourney.
They're in the tourney right there at 37-41, right? But Orlando leapfrogged them over the weekend. Orlando's playing some really good ball, has won 7 out of 10 games. Leapfrogged Atlanta. So right now, if the season ended right now, Joe, Atlanta would go on the road to play Orlando in the first play-in game. If Atlanta lost that game, Atlanta would then host the winner of Chicago versus Miami. If Atlanta wins any of those 2 games, the Spurs are picking number 15 or 16 in the draft, along with what is now the number 8 spot. The 15 or 16 would be solidified because it's not part of the lottery. But look at the records right there. You see Chicago creeping up, man. Chicago's creeping up there at 36-42. For a while there, it was looking like Miami, but Chicago creeping up. Chicago's also won 7 out of 10 games. If Chicago catches up to Atlanta and overtakes Atlanta, Atlanta would have a harder road to get to the playoffs, because they would have to host a game against Miami, and then they'd have to go on the road and play the loser of Chicago versus Orlando, which makes it more difficult for them to get into the playoffs. They'd have to win both games. They'd have to win 2 games. So at the number 8 spot, Atlanta has to win 1 game to make the playoffs. At the number 9 spot, they have to win 2 games to make the playoffs. And again, if they don't make the playoffs, the Spurs get a second lottery pick. That's the thing. We have some 2 super chats coming in, both $5. Drew Show saying, get it straight. Pop isn't just a head coach. He's the highest ranking exec with the biggest contract, 70 or 80 million. Only the owners can fire him. Well, that's the case more often than not anywhere, right? Very rarely do you have a GM go over the head of the ownership. Sam Salita saying for $5, was there a recruitment effort happening by Duke practicing at the Rock? Will Spurs make a move to draft him at any cost? Well, they can't draft Cooper Flagg at any cost, right? Because at that point, you're giving up the farm to get a Cooper Flagg. Yeah. So the Spurs have a 6% chance of getting it. And again, if Atlanta does not make the playoffs, we have a 9% chance of that happening, right? But I was talking to somebody while watching the Duke game the other day. I was telling him, I was like, man, I just want one of the Duke guys, man. Just one of them. There's 3 of them that are going to be in the lottery. Just give me one. Give me Cooper Flagg. Give me that center, or give me that small forward. Give me any of those 3 guys, because all 3 of those guys look NBA ready in some capacity. And, man, maybe I was wrong about Cooper Flagg. I didn't see how good he was early on in the season, but now you see him when the lights are shining brightest, he carries this team along. Cooper Flagg's the truth, dude. He's the truth.
I wouldn't mind having him. I wouldn't mind having him on the Spurs roster here. Can you imagine a roster of Flagg? You got Wemby, Castle.
Right.
I mean, and then you have the supporting cast, which leaves much to be desired still. I hope the Spurs kind of make some moves in the offseason. They need to address the shooting, and they need to go ahead and address defense. Right. Like I said, I mean, they got to go ahead and shore something up here on the wing. I mean, teams are just shooting the lights out against the Spurs when it comes to knocking down the 3. Spurs just have no answer in that regards, even though they've shot a whole lot more 3s in the past than they have in the past, and they've made like 1,000 3s this season. But how many attempts did it take them to get to 1,000 3s? 1,000 3s. It's not very good.
So I'm looking at the latest mock draft that came down. Bleacher Report came out with a mock draft over the weekend, saying that if everything held to form, right, Cooper Flagg would go number 1 to the Utah Jazz. Dylan Harper, pretty much everyone has Dylan Harper going number 2. He'd go to the Wizards. Number 3, Ace Bailey, small forward from Rutgers, going to Charlotte. They have VJ Edgecombe, who I really like, going to Baylor. From Baylor to New Orleans. They have Trey Johnson of Texas going to the Sixers. Jeremiah Fears of Oklahoma going to the Brooklyn Nets. Kaman Maluach, the center from Duke, going to the Raptors. And they have Asa Newell, power forward from Georgia, going to the Spurs at 8. And then the Spurs picking at 15, getting Carter Bryant, small forward out of Arizona. We saw a lot of I'm going to say his name incorrectly because I've always gotten it wrong. Con Knuppel from Duke.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a freshman that has a lot of talent out there. He reminds me of a taller Josh Giddey in a way. Josh Giddey is just somebody who gets a lot of stats, right? Just somebody who's doing something. He's productive one way or the other. If he's not shooting, he's rebounding. If he's not rebounding, he's passing the ball. He's going to get involved in the game somehow. I like his play, dude. I like his game. Now, I got to ask you a question about Cooper Flagg, Joe.
Sure.
And maybe this is a conversation that we have with Jeff Garcia from Locked On Spurs and Ken's 5. But let's talk about this a little bit. I believe Cooper Flagg is going to be a star very much in a way that Caitlin Clark is a star. Caitlin Clark is an exciting WNBA player, one of the best in the league, right? One Rookie of the Year, arguably a top 10 player already in the WNBA.
Yeah.
Part of her appeal, Joe, in fact, I would go on to say that 80% of her appeal is not only because she plays well on the court, it's because she's white. She's a white American. How much love is Cooper Flagg going to get because he's a white American? And I bring that up, Joe, because there are not a lot of white American basketball players right now that are in the All-Stars. None. I mean, who's the best white basketball player from the United States? Is it a top 15, top 20 player? 'Cause I don't think there are, right? Jokic is from Slovenia, right? Doncic is from Slovenia. Is he the great white hope when it comes to American basketball? Jeez,
No.
can you imagine if he plays for Utah? God, geez.
He'd be right where he needs to be.
Who's the best white basketball player in the NBA? That's American. And you know what? We're not counting half. You know, so we're not counting Devin Booker. We're not counting the Blake Griffins of the world.
No one comes to mind.
No one comes to mind, right? Is it Austin Reeves?
Jeez, dude. Austin Reeves of the Lakers.
So Ranker.com had an article about this, by the way. I'm just looking it up right now. They have, and this was dated April 2025. This was dated 5 days ago. The best white American basketball players in the NBA. I'm gonna go 10-1, right? When number 10 is TJ McConnell, Joe, of the Pacers.
God.
Number 9 is Dalton Knecht, the rookie of the Lakers. Number 8, Walker Kessler of the Utah Jazz. Number 7, Christian Braun of the Nuggets. Number 6, Dante DiVincenzo,
Jeez,
Sacramento. Number 5, Alex Caruso. Number 4, Peyton Pritchard of the Celtics. Number 3, Chet Holmgren. Okay, Chet's good. Oklahoma City Thunder. Number 2, Tyler Hero. And number 1, Austin Reeves. We could go off and say, Joe, that Cooper Flagg probably in 2 or 3 years will be the best white American basketball player. And Joe, I'm going to tell you this much, Joe. He's going to be loved because of it.
Oh, God.
When Tyler Hero, who's a good NBA player, when Austin Reeves, who's a good NBA player, none of them are great, are the best, something weird going on, Joe.
Look at that. Drew Show says, who writes the articles best white American? I thought Mike was a liberal here.
So the person who wrote this, by the way, was it's a ranker.com, and they posed the question, why aren't there any more Larry Birds? Man, ranker.com thinking very much like me. Is it bad for me to say this, Joe? Is it poor form? I mean, the person who wrote this is named Aaron Hager. And the headline literally says, the best white American NBA players right now. But I was thinking about that over the weekend because we know that that's the reason why Caitlin Clark is beloved. We all know this.
What about Angel Reese? She ain't getting no love?
Angel Reese gets love. But as my girlfriend astutely pointed out, what has Caitlin Clark won? Nothing. You know what she's won? A record for most turnovers in an WNBA season. That's what she's won.
I do like the fact that we can hear Chica cleaning and doing all sorts of stuff behind the scenes. She's still part of the show.
you hear it?
Yeah, we can hear the clanging of dishes in the microwave.
They say that they can hear the clanging of dishes in the microwave going off. They said Chica's part of the show in the background.
She's cooking you breakfast, Mike. You lucky man.
I am a lucky man. Very much so. We're also lucky to have MCS General Contracting powering our chat. Let's show them that love. They got that diamond hard concrete.
MCS General Contracting, more than 30 years of combined experience in concrete placement. They are the best in the business, honest pricing, high quality work. They get going on house foundations, driveways, concrete patio decks. If you want to extend the deck, extend the driveway. If you're a business and you need to put together a slab, a parking lot, or other concrete placement services or sidewalks, reach out to MCS General Contracting at 210-774-9155. They're confident in their skills, so give Chris Leha over at MCS General Contracting a call at 210-774-9155. And thank you for being a sponsor of this show.
They got that diamond hard concrete. Give Chris Leha a call. Let's show that number one more time, Joe. 210-774-9155, 210-774-9155 for your concrete placement needs. Doesn't matter if it's a parking lot, if it's a slab, a swimming pool, become ADA compliant. We've seen them do work not only at residential areas like my home, but they also do businesses. They also do government contracting as well. MCS General Contracting, 210-774-9155. Someone asked the question, who's the best Latino in the NBA? I don't even think there are much of any, man. Was it Manu back in the day? Joe, I mean, I remember there was that Naheda guy from the Dallas Mavericks who was all elbows, man. All he did was elbow people to death. But the reason why there's not a lot of Latinos out there because, well, not a lot of 5'7" guys out there who play basketball, Joe.
Oh, look at that. Jason Garcia was saying he got to see the great Bill Schoening yesterday. Got him to sign the book he published. He will be missed.
Yeah, Bill Schoening retiring after what, like 25 years. Got to meet his son and actually do radio with his son, Carl Schoening, who does a fantastic job with UIW and UTSA Sports, Texas State as well. So, yeah, congratulations to him and his long career. He did a very, very, very good job calling games for the Spurs for many, many years.
They were saying the best Mexican player right now, Jaime
Jaquez of Miami.
The guy that plays on the Heat.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things I wanted to show right now is let's go ahead and show this because things got heated the other day between the Houston Rockets and the Golden State Warriors. Right, there was an altercation where Steph Curry and Rockets head coach Ime Udoka had an exchange of words. And they asked Ime Udoka about it, and he says, when people start complaining about foul calls or crying about physicality, you've done your job. He says, that's the first step in winning the battle. So I told my team, when this team starts crying about it, up the intensity, up the aggressiveness, and make the refs adjust to you. Mm-hmm. Is he wrong? He's not wrong. As long as you start getting under their skin. This is the same thing that happens with LeBron, crybaby LeBron. You go ahead and start pressuring him and making it hard for him to get his. He starts flopping and everything, throwing himself on the floor, acting like he's injured, stopping the game, and there's nothing wrong with him because he wants his calls. You know, he wants to go ahead and get his. I mean, that's good when you can do that to said players, you know, your star players or whatnot. They start getting upset, start looking at the refs, crying about foul calls. I mean,
but is it a coach's place to go after a player?
Well, did he go after him? He was just talking to his team. Steph Curry happened to hear what he was saying, and there was an exchange of words. It's none of your business, Steph. Go to your corner. Go to your corner, you know?
So, you know, let's talk about Steph Curry. Zed's dead. The handle that we see on Twitter all the time on Spurs Twitter. Giving some comments about comparing Steph Curry to DeMar DeRozan. Did you know that they got into the league at the same time and DeMar DeRozan has the exact same number of points as Steph Curry?
Really?
Is DeMar DeRozan underrated? DeMar DeRozan has actually, because he makes mid-range shots, has made 460 more shots in his career compared to Steph Curry. But Steph Curry has slightly more points, like off by like 100, because he makes more threes. Is it weird? Does Steph Curry get the love? It's the rings, right? He's got the rings. But is DeMar DeRozan, I was looking on basketballreference.com, former Spur DeMar DeRozan has a 47% chance of making it into the Hall of Fame. Joe, let's talk about DeMar DeRozan, former Spur. Mm-hmm. He was liked here. I don't say he was loved here, but he was liked here. DeMar DeRozan, is he a Hall of Famer? So I'm going to give you his bona fides here. Okay?
Oh, God.
Now, I'm not saying that we got to put his banner up in the rafters or anything like that, but DeMar DeRozan entered the league in 2009. Okay? 2009. He's average for his career 21 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists, right? He has 6 All-Star game appearances. But the number of points that he has scored in his career is pretty impressive, Joe. He's in that 20,000 range. Is DeMar DeRozan a Hall of Famer?
You can't classify it anymore by how many championships they've won. You have to go by the quality of work that they've done, you know? I think he's done enough to get in there. I mean, if you can have Dwight Howard making it into let's get it straight. It's not the NBA Hall of Fame. It's the Basketball Hall of
Right.
Fame. Dwight Howard can get in there. Why not DeMar DeRozan? And I know that Cal over from the Sports Grind, shout out to him. He's the one that made the nickname for DeMar DeRozan. He used to call him DeFrozen on his show, like Ren G is saying right here. I mean, if you can have Dwight Howard, why not DeMar DeRozan? I think DeMar DeRozan is a more accomplished player.
So we see people saying that he's Jesse A, for example, say that he's in the Hall of Very Good. DeMar DeRozan right now is 30th all time in points scored in the NBA. So think about that. The thousands of players in the NBA history going back 60 years, he's number 30 all time with 25,000 points. If he plays 2 more seasons, because we figure he's going to play a couple more seasons, right? At least. Maybe score 1,500 points. That's 28,000 in his career at that point. He would be number 12 all time. Ahead of Carmelo Anthony, ahead of Olajuwon, ahead of Dominique Wilkins, ahead of Duncan, ahead of Gervin. In the next year, he scores 1,500 points. He will pass Reggie Miller, Rick Barry, Alex English, Vince Carter, Kevin Garnett, Russell Westbrook, John Havlicek, Paul Pierce, Tim Duncan, Gervin, Whit Wilkins, and Oscar Robertson. How can he be a 47% chance if he's in that area of points scored for his career?
It has more to do with popularity than anything else.
Also, he didn't win. I mean, if you look at players who scored 20,000 points, the one that sticks out that didn't ever get in was Tom Chambers. Drew Show's saying he needs to get to 29,000. Be undeniable at that point.
Elias says DeMar is a glorified Trevor Ariza. And you know what? Real talk, man. At the end of the day, DeMar DeRozan, I don't think he was appreciated enough for what he did when he was here as a San Antonio Spur. I know a lot of fans were like, well, you know, he's no Kawhi, but he didn't ask to be over here. I mean, it was just part of the business. Kawhi was the one that wanted to leave, forced his way out of San Antonio. Spurs just got what they could, making a trade over here with the Toronto Raptors. I'm sure DeMar DeRozan didn't want to come over here to San Antonio, but he was nothing but a professional while he was here. He went out there and he gave the team the best that he could. He went out there and did his job, didn't complain about it, just did the best with the situation that he was dealt. You couldn't ask for a classier guy, in my opinion. And for that, I'm grateful that we had DeMar DeRozan wearing the silver and black. I'm grateful for his time here as a Spurs, and I appreciate what he did for the team.
Well, the announcement over the weekend of who got into the NBA Hall of Fame for the 2025 class, a lot of basketball fans are kind of up in the air with when it comes to it all, because the 2025 class has Carmelo Anthony and Dwight Howard.
Yeah.
Dwight Howard as a first ballot Hall of Famer. 1-0. Carmelo Anthony, his claim to fame was he's probably the greatest Olympian that the Team USA basketball's ever had, right? So again, it's more than just, he was also somebody who won a national championship in college basketball as well. So I can see Carmelo Anthony getting in, despite the fact that he didn't have much NBA success other than early on with the Nuggets, right?
Yeah.
But Dwight Howard, first ballot Hall of Famer, is kind of lame.
And what did he win at the end of the day?
Not a damn thing. A slam dunk contest, I think he won time.
Oh, he was up there with that other little short dude. I forgot his name. Remember they did the Superman and Kryptonite bit at the slam dunk contest one year. What's his name?
Right.
Nate something. He played for the Celtics at the time too. I don't remember what his name. Nate Robinson or something like that.
Nate Robinson, yeah. Nate Robinson, yeah.
Yeah. They did the Kryptonite and Superman bit, you know. So I was like, it's all right. But I mean, other than that, I mean, Dwight Howard really, at the end of the day, he just never put together the fundamentals of the game correctly. He relied too much on his athleticism early on in his career, didn't really put together those fundamentals to keep your career going as far as the longevity of it. And once his speed and athleticism left him, he was just a mere shell just a body to throw out there and hopefully play defense, but he was nowhere near what he once was when in his younger days, younger in the start of his career.
Chris Orozco reaches out to us in our chat powered by MCS saying DeMar is cheeks. He's the extra poor man's Carmelo. All he does is offense. JHNSB coming out and saying that Dwight Howard won a title with the Lakers in the bubble.
Yeah,
okay, but I don't think he was a big part of that. Actually, that's Mexican Junior saying that. JHNSB saying that DeMar sucks in the playoffs, but at least Dwight led his team to the finals.
They still didn't win though.
Joe, what'd y'all do in Rockport again?
I just went and hung out there with the kids, and we did the whole family bit up there. They wanted to go to the beach, and I was telling them, man, it's cold. That water's cold right now. It hasn't gotten warm yet. Right?
Yeah.
It's not that time of year for that. Even if the sun was 90 something degrees, that water would have been cold as hell because it's the currents and stuff. It just hasn't transitioned to the warmer time of the year where you have to worry about hurricanes and whatnot. That water's still cold.
Yep.
They got in there and they wanted to go to the beach. They got in there up to their knees and they're like, damn, daddy, this water's cold. I said, I've been telling you all the water's cold. They had people over there too in the water and whatnot. I'm like, I don't know how the hell they're in the water. It's cold as hell. But we just walked around, did the downtown thing in Rockport. Daughter wanted to go do the shops and whatnot and go and browse. Kids found some wares out there, clothes that they liked and whatnot. So I got cool. Let's go ahead and do that whole bit. Got a nice house we rented out there. It was of course, these beach houses, they're elevated, they have like two levels. And the thing is that ours had like another sky deck built on top of the roof. So you had a really good view of everything. So I was out there on Saturday evening and I was enjoying the sunset and having a couple drinks out there, just chilling out. Had a long day, man. It was a lot of driving. Kids had me driving everywhere, going here, going there. They wanted to do all sorts of stuff, even on the way back. They wanted to stop at the Corpus Christi Museum for some reason. So I'm like, all right, we'll go ahead and stop there, before we get back home. By the time we had to check out at 10. So by the time I got back to San Antonio, it was closer to like 3 in the afternoon. I was like, man, I'm tired. I've been driving and driving and driving, entertaining these kids all weekend. It's like, I'm going to take me a nap, dude. So I took like a 2-hour nap, woke up and had to keep on washing clothes and doing the other stuff, to make the house keep going. But man, it was a long weekend. I'm not young and fun no more, Mike.
Hey, well, thanks to DJLG for stepping in last week for one of the days. I flew out to California because we were all under the impression that my aunt was going to pass away, and she got better. She had a lot of multiple organ failure, all that stuff going on, and looked to be circling the drain. And woman apparently is like a cat with 9 lives, man. She bounced back and got released from ER a couple of days ago. Came back home, hanging out with Chica. We went to the Galleria. I didn't do the ice skating, Joe. I think my tubby ass is afraid of the ice skating. Like, I mean, just me hitting the carpet hurts. Me hitting a block of ice has got to be brutal.
It does, dude. I mean, as old as we're getting already, you fall down, you can't spring back up that quick no more, Mike.
I'm looking forward to this weekend because Chica and I have concert tickets to an EDM show. God. So we're going to be doing like electronic dance music. It's going to be fun. We're going to be out there. I have some coworkers that are going to be out there, so we'll be checking out a concert. So we're going to find out whether or not I'm epileptic or not because all the lights, all the music, glow sticks, fantastic.
Too old. You're going to be like that guy from, was it White Chicks? With the glow stick and the whistle.
That's a movie I got to see again, man. It's been a while since I've seen that.
White Chicks, dude. God. Do you know what movie I saw last night? Is I was just tired, trying to eat some dinner. And I'm watching TV and I'm like, man, there's nothing on, So I went to Amazon Prime and I'm looking and I came across this oldie but a goodie movie. It was with Denzel Washington and Ryan Reynolds, right? It's called Safe House. It's actually pretty good.
Oh, yeah. Wait a minute. You said Denzel?
Denzel Washington's in that movie. It's called Safe House. I watched it. It was pretty good.
I'm thinking of the movie that he did with Samuel L. Jackson and Salma Hayek.
No,
The
no,
the,
no.
the Ryan Reynolds. That's where I was going with that.
No, it was Safe House. It was done in 2012, dude. It was actually pretty good. I watched it. I was like, hey, it's not a bad movie, man. It was an action-packed thriller. So it was.
Jesse A saying that he ran the 10K, the Austin 10K yesterday, and on the final stretch, a lady tripped and fell. Sounded hard. Hey, San Antonio FC played over the weekend.
Yeah, they did. I think Chris Leal was there. They played on Sunday. Chris Leal was out there with some of the Necios. Sam Salinas, was out there as well.
Are we going to talk about how they lost the Phoenix Uprising 2-1?
Oh man, the thing is that they always have trouble with Phoenix, dude. For some reason, we're hoping that we would be saying that the team is going to be 5-0, but nonetheless, they're probably still at the top of their division.
Yeah,
you know.
It was on CBS Sports, and Joe, I saw it. I watched a good chunk of it.
That's why they lost. That's why they lost, because you were watching the game.
That's exactly right, man. First 2 goals were penalty kicks. There was a handball by San Antonio FC that led to Phoenix scoring the first goal. San Antonio responded back also with a penalty by the goalie. The goalie, man, it was brutal, man. The goalie all but clotheslined one of the San Antonio FC players. That led to a penalty kick to tie it. Equalizer at 1-1. They lose 2-1. I think minute 76, the third goal was scored. So, yeah.
Mike's Brahmas are 0-2.
And why don't I like the Brahmas? Because I don't like watching college football. I mean, high school football, unless I'm at a high school football game.
Yeah. Oh, and friend of the show too, Chicana Fuerte, Stephanie. She was out there. She's been out there taking pictures over at the San Antonio FC game. It looks like as a member of the media, she's getting out there and being able to do her thing. So congratulations to her too, man.
Very, very cool. Very, very cool. Joe, we're going to call it early if you don't mind. I got to get back to work. But thank you to Matt Larimer for being out there again tonight. Big game. Houston against Florida National Championship game. Not sure why I was thinking Auburn. I was watching that game earlier this week, and Auburn was up the entire game. And I knew Florida came back to win that game. Bit of a bonehead in my head. So my apologies for that. Thank you for the super chats out there. We'll be talking about tomorrow we'll be talking about the finals and how that all turned out. San Antonio representing. Fantastic. Again, thank you again to Matt Larimer. Thank you again to CT and all of y'all out there representing San Antonio local media out there. Give me a call, by the way. 210-508-0369 if you have questions about investments or insurances. 210-508-0369. Market's down again right now. We are at the low point of the last 52 weeks. You haven't lost any money if you haven't sold anything, right? Just keep buying. Just keep buying. Hold the line. 210-508-0369. Sith reminded us that WrestleMania is next week. People saying that my shirt looks like a Kanye shirt. Not sure what that means, but okay. It's Nike. It is what it is. We'll be back tomorrow. Everyone have a fantastic day, and I guess go Cougars.
All right. We'll see you boys tomorrow. We're out. Peace.